Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. My name is Bob Listenby. I'm First Assistant District Attorney here representing District Attorney Larry Krasner. Today, the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office will announce charging of the defendant, Deontay Vincent, in regards to a car meetup that took place in Northeast Philadelphia this past weekend. We are here to send a very clear message to people throughout the city and county of Philadelphia and from places outside the city that we will not tolerate this kind of criminal activity. These car meetups, this drifting is dangerous to the citizens from the city and county of Philadelphia. It's dangerous to law enforcement that have been actively involved in trying to address this issue. If you engage in this kind of behavior, you should know that we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. If you come from outside the city and county of Philadelphia, we will collaborate, we will investigate, and we will cooperate with our Philadelphia Police Department and state police and other law enforcement outside the city and county of Philadelphia so that we can find you and arrange for your prosecution as well. We are here today in force to show you our commitment. We have with us our District Attorney's Office team, and you will meet them shortly. We also have a full bevy of people from the Philadelphia Police Department, the Deputy Commissioners who are here on force to show you how committed the Philadelphia Police Department is to this. We also have a representative from the Mayor's Office, and we are ready to go. Before we go into the specifics of the case that we're here to talk about, I would like to take this opportunity to thank City Council, because last year when carjacking was going up throughout the city and county of Philadelphia, City Council provided funding to the District Attorney's Office so that we could begin the development of our carjacking enforcement unit. Carjacking is down at the present time, and that's good news. But that unit was also tasked with going forward to dealing with meetups like the ones that occurred this past weekend and drifting. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce you to our staff and guests who are here today to talk about this problem. Philadelphia Councilmember Mark Driscoll from District 6, we expect that he'll be joining us shortly. Frank Venor, Deputy Commissioner for the Philadelphia Police Department. Mike Cram, Deputy Commissioner of Philadelphia Police Department. Maisha Massey, Deputy Commissioner for the Philadelphia Police Department. Pedro Rosario, Deputy Commissioner for the Philadelphia Police Department. Joel Dales, Deputy Commissioner for the Philadelphia Police Department. In addition, we have Adam Gear, Chief Public Safety Director for the City and County of Philadelphia, representing the Mayor's Office. In addition, from our office here at the District Attorney's Office, we have Assistant District Attorney Kim Essick, who is Chief of the District Attorney's Carjacking Enforcement Unit. We have Assistant District Attorney Danielle Berkavich, who is Chief of the District Attorney's Intelligence Unit. We have William Sandman, who is a staff member on the District Attorney's Carjacking Enforcement Unit. We also have Assistant District Attorney Alyssa Amoroso, who is a member of the DAO's Gun Violence Task Force. And we have Mr. Jordan Scott, who is the Victim Witness Coordinator of the Carjacking Enforcement Unit. At this time, I would like to yield the podium to Deputy Commissioner Frank Venor, who's going to comment on the arrest. Deputy Commissioner.
Good afternoon. So just to give you a little background, as you know, on Saturday evening into Sunday morning, there were massive amounts of people, dozens of vehicles and hundreds of people that participated in these car meetups. These meetups occurred at least 11 major intersections throughout the city. They moved in unison together, and they wreaked havoc and caused all kinds of chaos. Actually injured people while they were there, fired off fireworks, cars slid into people, police officer was injured in one of the locations. During that night, we were able to identify at least one person where they're going to speak, the District Attorney's Office is going to speak. We were able to get a warrant for 7400 Bustleton and effect his arrest for aggravated assault and related charges. We recovered some firearms when we served a warrant, and they'll explain that. A police inspector in South Philadelphia was able to stop another vehicle 19-year-old male by the name of Johnny Martinez was arrested in that case, charged with reckless endangerment. Some other charges are being reviewed now. He had a juvenile in the car who was also cited. During the course of the evening, we cited about 25 people for other offenses during the course of the night, and they were cited for disorderly conduct. But we are actively investigating criminal activity that occurred that night. We're nowhere near done. That evening, we had 5 police vehicles damaged. They're telling me the extent of that damage is $16,000. Okay. We talked to the streets department. In these intersections where these events occurred, there was anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 worth of damage per intersection that'll have to be repaired by the streets department. And in one of the cases in South Philadelphia, there was a 17-year-old girl that came with the participants. She was struck by fireworks. She went back to Delaware where she lived. She wound up in a hospital. They thought for hours that she was shot. It turned out she was hit by an inert firework that went off and struck her. She's going to be okay, but we're working with their child services and dealing with Delaware authorities to help us with that case. So we have multiple investigative methods that we are using to identify people that were involved in these incidents and doing criminal activity. People were lighting fires, they're holding up firearms during some of these cases, and they're obviously all driving recklessly. We're collecting video, not only our own body camera video, there's real-time crime cameras video, our city cameras, and private video all along the way. Just so you understand, we have cameras throughout the city. We have a lot of these people on video. You're going to see some of them here. We've already identified some of them, and we have about 38 cars that we've identified. We've recovered 5 so far. 21 of them are now, we have enough information on them. They're placed in wanted status by Philadelphia. So any jurisdiction throughout the area or other states, if they stop that car, they're going to hold that for us for evidence, and we're going to attempt to identify the person that was participating in these events. We've already done that. We've already got some cars back, and we already have identifications that we're working with the district attorney's office to get warrants. And we're going to states outside of Pennsylvania. So I can tell you we're in the entire area. People have driven long and far to be involved in this, and we're going to go get them, no matter how far they are. So there's 21 vehicles currently in wanted status, as I said, and our local partners, Pennsylvania State Police, as well as our federal partners, FBI and ATF, have joined our investigation. So last thing I want to say is we're collecting video. We have some faces that are pretty prominent here. You can see some tattoos and things like that. If you know these people, we're urging you to give us a call, 686-TIPS-8477. Our website also has a mechanism. If you have video from this or someone you know has video, you could upload it to us and we'll use that video. We're working with social media and we're doing everything we can to identify as many people as we can and get enough probable cause to charge them. I have a lot of detectives working on this, and like I said, there's some task force officers in our federal system. So we're going to travel wherever we have to grab these people and make sure they pay for what they did on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Venor. At this time, we'd like to have William Sandman from the District Attorney's Office, Carjacking Enforcement Unit, who's going to talk about the person who's been arrested. William?
Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. My name is William Sandman. I'm an Assistant District Attorney with the Carjacking Enforcement Unit here with the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. As previously mentioned, there was an arrest made of an individual named Deontay Vincent, and charges have been brought against him. There are 3 separate transcripts at this time, one for each of the victims in that case. The charges that are currently pending on the first docket against the first victim is a second-degree felony for aggravated assault, a second-degree misdemeanor for simple assault, a first-degree misdemeanor for possession of an instrument of a crime, a second-degree misdemeanor for reckless endangerment of another person, a third-degree misdemeanor for disorderly conduct, a summary offense for harassment, and another second-degree misdemeanor for fleeing police in a vehicle. On the second transcript against the second victim, we have another second-degree felony for aggravated assault, another second-degree misdemeanor for simple assault, another second-degree misdemeanor for reckless endangerment of another person, a third-degree misdemeanor for disorderly conduct, a summary offense for harassment, and another second-degree misdemeanor for fleeing police in a vehicle. And finally, against the third victim in this case, on the third transcript, we have a first-degree misdemeanor for accidents involving death or injury, a second-degree misdemeanor for simple assault, and a second-degree misdemeanor for reckless endangerment of another person. There may potentially be other charges that are going to be amended and added to these bills of information at some point. Obviously, the investigation, as you just heard, is still ongoing at this point, so we haven't finalized all the charges. As it relates to bail in this case, the defendant was arraigned. $500,000 bail was set on each of the three transcripts, so at this point it's $1.5 million in total. And he's going to be held on that cash bail unless it's posted until such time as these charges are finally resolved.
Can you just spell that defendant's name while you're there? We'll give it a second.
Good.
We'll get to that.
You want
Defendant's name.
the defendant's name is Deontay Vincent,
Spell it.
and that's spelled D-E-O-N-T-E. Vincent is V-I-N-C-E-N-T.
Thank you again. That's Assistant District Attorney William Sandman, who is the assigned Assistant District Attorney on this case. He is working in conjunction not only with the Carjacking Enforcement Unit, but he's working in collaboration with our Gun Violence Task Force, and you're going to hear from members of that task force momentarily. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium Assistant District Attorney Kimberly Essick. She is the Chief of the Carjacking Enforcement Unit and head of also the Economic Crimes Unit. Kim?
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming here today. As First Assistant Bob Listenby mentioned, I am the supervisor of the Economic Crimes Division, but also the supervisor of the Carjacking Enforcement Unit and the Auto Theft Unit. And these cases, and any cases coming forward, are going to be coming directly to the Carjacking Unit for special supervision under my direction. Usually, when you see me here at the podium, I'm talking about the many ways in which the District Attorney's Office here has been working with the Philadelphia Police Department in striving to protect the citizens of Philadelphia in their homes and in their property, in the places where they live, in the places where they work, and also the businesses in which they shop to provide for their families. But today I'm here because there's been a growing trend in our Philadelphia streets where they are being taken over by a criminal element who has no regard for the safety of our citizens as they travel around this beloved city. What happened this weekend is an absolute outrage, which cannot and will not be tolerated. Let me make this very clear to anyone listening. Philadelphia's streets are not the personal playground of those who came here, like this weekend, to wreak havoc and destroy various parts of our city, as well as assault our citizens and our police officers. These are our streets, and we refuse to allow them to be destroyed, especially by outsiders who come here from the sanctity of their own homes and neighborhoods just to tear apart ours. We refuse to allow locals who don't respect the city in which we were raised and now live to run through these streets, leaving destruction in their wake. Enough. This city belongs to the people, and we're going to be taking it back for them, and that's why we're here today, to show you this effort of all of us working together. To those involved in what happened this past weekend, just know that we are going to find you using every tool at our disposal. You chose to come here and disrespect our citizens, our streets, putting their lives in danger. So now we will track you down using all available means and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. I want to take this moment to thank the Philadelphia Police Department and their tireless efforts working around the clock to obtain as much information as possible to identify, locate, and arrest those involved in every car meetup this past weekend. And to the citizens of Philadelphia, we are asking for your help. I implore you, if you have any information at all, please reach out and offer whatever digital evidence, footage, vehicle information, or participant identification information you have to track these people down for us. If you know something, say something. Basically, help us help you. Thank you.
And the charges that I just listed out against Mr. Vincent, they basically stem from the incident that happened, which began at 7400 Bustleton Avenue all the way up in the northeast. That area is a parking lot. It's a Target, Pep Boys. At about 10 p.m., officers arrived on scene to try and break up the car meet. When they arrived, approximately 50 vehicles fled that location. At that point in time, the officers that arrived on scene attempted to try and detain some of the individuals that were at that location. They were able to stop one individual in an alleyway that was beside the Pep Boys, kind of a narrow area. At that point in time, while they're conversing with one individual there, Mr. Vincent, who we believe was operating a Dodge Charger, drives at a very high rate of speed towards the officers, nearly striking both of them as well as the third person they had stopped at that point in time. Proceeded to, fortunately, not strike either of the officers, but proceeded past them in a dangerous manner, then strikes the third person's vehicle actually before driving off. The officers were able to identify the license plate number, and they were able to identify the person who was driving as Mr. Vincent. So that's kind of where those charges ultimately stemmed from.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call to the podium Ms. ADA Danielle Berkavich, who will discuss the work of the District Attorney's Intelligence Unit in collaboration with the Carjacking Enforcement Unit. Danielle.
Thank you, Bob. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danielle Berkavich. I'm the Chief of Intelligence here at the District Attorney's Office. We're under the Gun Violence Task Force, which I'm sure you've all heard of before, is that joint effort with the Philadelphia Police Department and the Attorney General's Office. Typically, you hear from Mr. Fritzy, and we talk a lot about the gun violence, but my job specifically is to work on the intelligence piece. So I oversee the Data Analytics Division, which is a group of people whose job it is to be both proactive, reactive, and collaborative with all other all of our other law enforcement partners here in Philadelphia. And beyond that, our federal partners as well. We are assisting in this case, we are assisting the carjacking unit of the Philadelphia DA's office, the Philadelphia Police Department, and our state and federal partners in getting information about the locations of these meetups proactively before they happen, and making sure that we provide the social media information that we have after these incidents happen to make sure that people like the bail commissioners and Mr. Sandman, who will be handling these cases, know these people's entire involvement and history so that the appropriate arguments can be made. These are obviously very dangerous and illegal meetups. Look, masks, fake license plates, things like that that you think are going to trick law enforcement and trick us are not going to work. You've heard from several people up here already. We are going to find you. We've already found people. It's no secret that social media seems to be the way that these groups decide where they're going to meet up. And we have tools and resources, both we do as the Gun Violence Task Force, as well as the Philadelphia Police Department and our federal partners and state partners, to figure this out, where you're going to be, what you're going to do, and who you are. So this wouldn't be the first time that the Gun Violence Task Force, and specifically the Intelligence Division, has helped in taking down groups of people that are using social media to meet up and facilitate crime. So we look forward to our continued collaboration, not only just on this case here, but all future crime in Philadelphia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Danielle. At this time, I'd like to call Assistant District Attorney Alyssa Amoroso, who will discuss the work of the District Attorney's Gun Violence Task Force. Alyssa?
Good afternoon. My name is Alyssa Amoroso, and I'm an Assistant District Attorney from the Gun Violence Task Force. Our unit currently accepts hundreds of phones per month from law enforcement. We review social media that comes in through our intelligence as well through our law enforcement partners, and we also utilize license plate readers and analysts to review this data as it's coming in for historical purposes and current as it's happening. In addition, our unit has made a significant investment into technology with regards to social media and the way that we analyze it and use it in our prosecution. So, if you think we can't find you, think again. We are a 21st century unit with cutting edge technology, and we focus our assets on this issue. and we continue to work with our law enforcement partners in this case and our continued cases and other crimes in Philadelphia, and we will do so with what happened this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assistant District Attorney Alyssa Amoroso. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Adam Gear, who, as I mentioned earlier, is Chief of the Public Safety, Chief Public Safety Director of the City and County of Philadelphia. Mr. Gear?
Thank you very much. It's good to be home back here in the DA's office and see so many friendly faces. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for being here. I'd like to first thank our police department, for their quick investigation and this subsequent arrest, and for all of the arrests that will surely come. The speed at which we can locate folks who commit crime in the city of Philadelphia and hold them accountable, that matters. That matters. So I appreciate all of the efforts of their officers working overtime on all of their cases to bring these folks to justice and here into the DA's office for prosecution quickly. The efforts and resources dedicated by our police in tracking down these folks demonstrates the seriousness that this city, this mayor, this DA's office has in improving the safety and quality of life for all Philadelphians. And I'd also like to specifically thank the DA for leading in this prosecution on this case and for charging people who put the lives of Philadelphians at risk and make our city a more dangerous place. This is not a victimless crime. All right? People are routinely injured and worse at these meetups. They don't care about people's life and limb as they flee these scenes speeding up and down our streets. They don't care about people's peace and sense of safety. They only care about themselves and how many followers they can get on social media. It's obvious that these reckless individuals put themselves at risk, but even worse, they put our innocent civilians and pedestrians at risk. These are residents and visitors of our great city. They are also sleeping children and families who wake up in the middle of the night to the sounds of mayhem, including my own. Cultivating an atmosphere of chaos in Philadelphia is not what this city is about. Events like this make Philadelphia somewhere where people have to worry, about their safety when they hear this, when they see those images, and we will not stand for it. It is important to remember why these people organized this last car meetup. I want to tease this out, why they went to this extent. It's because of the good work of the folks behind me in the police department and the speedy charges that we file in these cases. We have been clamping down on them, Philadelphians. We have been clamping down on them. This has been, again, a priority of our mayor and of this administration and of our police department. That's why they felt the need to come out and puff their chests up and have this little hurrah or whatever it is. But we have news for them, folks. We are not intimidated by your cool cars and your screeching tires. We aren't going anywhere, and this is just the beginning of our intense focus on you. So again, I want to thank the police department, I want to thank the DA's office, and I want to thank Mayor Parker for her leadership in refusing to accept this as a normal and acceptable behavior in our city. All of us here standing together are an ongoing testament to what we can do and what a united Philly looks like when we stand together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Gear. I'd like to put an exclamation mark behind something the Chief said, as well as something Deputy Commissioner Venora indicated. These are not victimless crimes. There are people who are injured. There is property that is damaged. There are law enforcement officers specifically who are injured in this process. We want to make sure that people understand that when people are injured, we have victim witness coordinators on our staff. We have Mr. Jordan Scott, who's standing behind me to my right, who is here available to work to support anybody who is a victim of this crime. Please contact our office and we will follow up as soon as we are notified. At this time, I'd like to address questions, starting with CBS, Ray Strickland.
If you could break down some of those numbers again? You mentioned some citations, the number of cars held or wanted and have been identified. Can you just break some of that down for us?
Sure. The citations are our code violation notices. They were issued by the officers that night. We're going to go back and review them to see if charges should be amended, but there was about 25 of them. There were 2 arrests so far. One was by warrant, one was a site arrest on that night. The cars that we are targeting now is because of the constant review of the cameras, of the pictures that we have. Once we identify the car, doesn't mean I know who was driving it. It takes more work to do. We're pulling forensics off our police cars because they jumped all over them. All right, we're pulling the videos. We're attempting to identify the people. Once we do that, we're giving our probable cause to the district attorney, and we're going to move forward and attempt to arrest people that are responsible. So there were at least about 38 cars that we've been able to specifically say we know what this car is. So far, about 21 of them, we're able to get them into wanted status. We have 5 of them recovered already, and we're going to keep working at it.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. At this point in time, 6ABC, John Paul or Ian Doherty?
Yeah, so can you go over the states that you believe these people came from? I mean, is it just the tri-state area, or I mean, how far out were these people traveling to come to Philadelphia? And beyond that,
Deputy Commissioner.
does Philadelphia have a reputation? Is that why they're coming here?
Yeah, we're going to get them no matter what, but I don't want to give them a head start, so I'm not going to give you all the states, but I'm telling you, it's Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, and there are states surrounding our area that they came from. So,
Do you know why they picked Philadelphia?
I have no idea. We're going to ask them, though, believe me. I'm going to ask a bunch of them, so we'll get a better idea once we have more of them in custody. But I think they do this all over. They picked Philadelphia this time, and they got us, so we're going to get it back.
And just one last question. You guys are saying they're doing it for the likes on social media. Is it that same social media where they're posting this stuff that's helping to identify them and eventually have them arrested?
Some of it. And what you got to understand about the social media you're looking at now, a lot of that wasn't public pre this happening. So we have people that monitor social media all the time. They'll update us every day of what they think is coming. But the scope of this, the locations, the stuff that they made available once they started throwing their videos out, we didn't have before it started. So once we started to get it, our DIVIC, our intelligence bureau, started pushing it out. By then, we were chasing hundreds of cars and people around the city. So it was a little hard. And you see the police officer pull up in Center City by himself, and he went in and tried to stop it, and you've seen how that ended up. So it's hard to do once it's in progress.
Chief Cabbage, do you want to comment on that?
We're going to do our best to assist the Philadelphia Police Department to, again, be proactive. Because as you heard, once it starts, it's hard to figure out how to get it to stop without injuries and things like that. So we're going to do everything we can to be proactive and give all of our resources to the police department to help stop it before it starts, before the injuries, before the damage, before the chaos.
Thank you. 10 Telemundo, Jamie. Jamie Burrell, I'm sorry.
I'm in for Jaime over here.
Okay.
Channel 10.
Okay.
I'm going to move over here if I may. This question is for Assistant Mr. Sandman. When we spoke with police both on camera and off air, and as we're seeing their great work this weekend, being aggressive on enforcing the law, they've now called on the court system to not be lenient on prosecuting. You've announced these charges. How do you feel about this process now? It's in your hand, you got 2 charges. Do you understand the responsibility the court system has to now make sure people are convicted so that they can take this seriously, that the police are out here risking their lives to do their part? How do you feel about the responsibility that's now in your hands?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I welcome that, and all of us do here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. I think that picking these people up and stopping them is just kind of the first wave of how we're going to potentially prevent these things from happening again in the future. And as you said, the court and the judicial system has its role to play in that. And if we're either letting these people get away with doing this stuff with very light sentences or pleading out to much reduced charges, then it kind of reduces any potential inhibitions that future individuals would have to commit these offenses moving forward. So we're going to take this very seriously. We understand that these were really dangerous events that could have led to far worse consequences, despite or other than just the financial issues and the property damage that occurred. Fortunately, there wasn't anything a lot more serious that we're aware of at this point in time, outside of the individual, as you heard earlier, about the fireworks. But yeah, no, we do need to take this incredibly seriously. We're going to hold up our end in asking for these things to be taken seriously, and then it's going to be on the court eventually, when the convictions start coming in, to hand out sentences that are in line with what we're asking for.
And one more question for both you and or however you want to answer it. Do you think that confiscating cars, that could be somewhere to hit people where it hurts? Because if I'm thinking, if I'm honest, if I'm 17, 18, and I hear police saying, this is dangerous, it's a, as a kid, I'm like, it's also cool, it's fast and furious. How do you get through to them to say, like, no, this is a problem? Do you think that confiscating cars is a possibility? Do you think that that's something that should be a part of the punishment?
Well, right now we're doing it. We're confiscating them. It's not my decision if we get to keep them or how they're given back, but I can tell you this. We're confiscating for evidence purposes. We're going to collect every piece of evidence out of those cars we can to identify who was driving it that night. And then whoever gives it back, it'll be up to them, not me. But if it was up to me, I'd have my own opinion. But
In your opinion, for the court?
I think we should be able to confiscate the cars.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just in response to reiterate what ADA Salmon has said, we're going to be looking at each case individually, each person's record. This person was held on significant bail, so that's already sending a great message out there to everyone. We're not playing around. This show here is not just a show. It's what we're doing. It's what we're doing every single day. I've been up here multiple times for other things, talking about the collaboration that we're doing across the board of what we're doing here at the DA's office with the police department, and you see all the same faces because that's what we're doing. We're here working together to show this is a team. This is a team effort. We're going to put everything we have behind these cases. We're going to go forward. We're going to go to court ready to go, prepared with video, prepared with forensic evidence, prepared across the board. Ultimately, in the cases that go before judges, that is out of our hands once they make the decision. But we're going to go there fighting along the way, and that is the message we want to send to everybody. And as for the vehicles, I believe ultimately we need legislation to be able to take cars in that situation, which I do feel would be a deterrent, but we're not there yet. It is something that I think we should be talking about moving forward here in Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania, because the more this keeps happening, you have to have something that's going to stop it in its tracks. And if you can take someone's vehicle away, that's a major deterrent, because no one wants to lose their car.
I'm going to push a little more before you ask one more person. You both police have answered, but I want to hear from the court system, on that side. How do you feel about hitting people with assistant district attorney? How do you feel about confiscating cars, hitting people in their pockets? But I would like to hear from you, not behind.
Okay.
Because the public would want to hear, like, what does the court system feel about it? You've heard how police feel about it.
Please identify yourself, Deputy
Yeah,
Commissioner.
how you doing? Deputy Commissioner Mike Cram, Patrol Operations. So I'm in charge of all patrol for. My guys are the ones you see out there responding. So we are allowed to tow cars. Thanks to the work of City Council, the city ordinance on nuisance car enforcement that lets us do nuisance cars involved in drifting, drag racing, tag flippers, and the boom cars, which we can tow under there. There's a tow clause and there's a non-tow clause. So the one incident they talked about is up at 7400 Bustleton, which was like the catalyst that started everything. That was about 9:30 on Saturday night, and it culminated with the 4:30 downtown. That's the first one where we got there, we issued the citations. It wasn't to the level of towing. That's what Deputy Venor is talking about when they go back and review those tags. If they find a video evidence that they were, which the officers didn't have access to at the time, then that could change where that CVN now becomes towable. So we are allowed to tow thanks to the good work of City Council. They have given us that tool.
Thank you.
And let me clarify one thing. You asked for a representative of the courts. We have law enforcement here. We do not have a representative of the courts present with us. We have the district attorney's office and its various units within it, and we have the deputy commissioners from the Philadelphia Police Department. So the clarification there. Okay. 10 NBC. Leah? No? Yes, you. Okay, I'm sorry.
I do have one question. Is it the same organization?
Okay, 29 Fox. I'm sorry, Telemundo, I apologize.
Just one question. If you can just please specify the amount of money for the citations or just the range?
Okay, all right.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Do you want to step up to the podium and please?
Yeah, yes, it's $2,000. That's correct. Yeah, yeah. Right.
I'm actually going to stay for a second. So the citations can be applied. So if you're cited, you can also be criminally charged possibly down the road. Is that?
That's going to be a decision the district attorney makes. If we figure out through our video evidence and other evidence that one of those citations was issued to somebody and they were at multiple locations, they could be upgraded to criminal charges. We're in a review process of the whole entire incident. The officers that issued some of them were at the first incident, and they didn't know that this was going to go citywide, and some of these people, we believe, were at all the locations.
Do you know how many people roughly?
Just 1 second, 1 second.
I'm with Fox 29.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
What's your question?
Do you know how many people were there total to, how many minutes are allowed to repeat?
I couldn't give you an exact number. It was probably hundreds of bystanders, people blocking the road, and then anywhere between, 50 cars at some of the places, 3 or 4 of them will perform, and then they skid out and other people come in. So it's hard to tell in the video.
And my last question, sorry. This, we've heard multiple times, was in some ways maybe a retaliation for cracking down. You're cracking down again, who's to say they won't retaliate and be successful again?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so, and I believe it was, thank you. I believe it was Deputy Commissioner Cram with the last press conference said this is a bit like whack-a-mole, right? But the reality of it is we are ramping up our approach within the department as to how we deal with this. They are being creative. They're making sure that our citizens, right, they're thinking about them first and how we can safely do this, but we're clearly putting the work in, right? That's something that we also want to get out there. They might think that they're coming and doing their spinnies or whatever you call them, donuts, whatever they are, and that no one is watching, no one cares, that we aren't going to commit the resources. And we very clearly will, and we very clearly will continue to. And then once some of their friends start maybe posting when they get out of jail that they spent the weekend in jail because of this and are now facing criminal prosecutions and their car was taken, we'll start to see that come down, right? This is just like anything. So again, the point is we're not going anywhere. This is a priority to continue to improve quality of life and bring back and restore peace here in the city of Philadelphia, and we're here for it. We're not going anywhere.
Thanks very much, Chief Gear. At this point in time, we are with the Philadelphia Inquirer, Chris Palmer.
Just two quick ones. One is a clarification question. So you said there were 2 arrests before, so this is the 3rd person who's arrested, or he's 1 of 2?
2 total. It's 2 total.
So he's the 2nd person arrested?
Right. He's the 2nd. There was a juvenile in the car with the first person who was cited, but he wasn't driving. He was released to his parents.
And this would be the warrant arrest that you're...
The warrant arrest is what the ADA described when he came up to the podium.
Okay. And then, with all due respect, with all of these technologies that you're describing to proactively see these meetups in advance, how did you not prevent this from happening in the first place?
Well, hindsight's 2020. What I could tell you, our social media people described to me is the scope, the locations, the timing of this was not evident. They knew about Project X. We see ride-outs and meetups all the time. The detail, we put officers out specifically for this all the time. When they get there, in many cases, they address it, it's done. This case, there were more people involved. They came from states, like I'm telling you, way beyond Pennsylvania to come here and participate in this. That wasn't known. And what you're looking at now on social media was not apparent or public when our social media people were monitoring it. So when it became public sometime in the evening on Saturday and they tried to push it out, trying to respond to the locations quickly became very problematic. They got to the Northeast, this group went, and then everything started to splinter off. So it was very difficult to keep up with, and that's how it was described to me. They tried their best. It didn't work out. Wish we could have prevented it.
Thanks, Chris. Going back, KYW, Christian Johansson.
2 quick questions. One, does Vincent have a prior criminal history?
Salmon.
Yes, we do have his date of birth. One moment. So his date of birth is July 2nd, 1999. My understanding is that he did not have much of a prior criminal record prior to this incident. I don't believe that he had a prior criminal record leading up to this incident. So I think that answers your questions.
Yeah. The second question I have is there any personal property of anybody like throughout the city? I don't know if this would be Deputy Commissioner your question, but any personal property that's been reported damaged during any of these?
I don't want to definitively say no. I'm not sure if there is any other property. I know there was city property damage, vehicles, streets department property, you know, items that poles, things like that, but I don't know. I mean, we know that the car in the Northeast hit another car, but I don't know if it's another participant or what happened, so.
But no one else like called in like my car?
I would have to check that and get back to you. I'm not sure.
All right. That's it.
65 Univision, Mr. Figueroa.
My question gonna be for Mr. Menor.
Menor?
So the police department is still don't having enough resources to prevent this kind of situations.
Well, we try, I mean, hopefully, if it's this big, if we're there, we could prevent it if we can get there before them and not let them set up, but very difficult to do if they beat us to the location. I mean, you've seen the officers responding, you know. The only thing we could do is block them in. It's going to cause a big hazard as the only thing that's going to happen is a violent crash. So someone's going to get hurt. So we need to prevent it. We need to know where they're going. We need to know they're coming. So we're going to do a better job at that. It would help if people let us know, as the DA said. If they know something, if they see something, let us know ahead of time, and we could be there to prevent it.
And my second question is for everyone. Who's going to pay for the damage? The taxpayer, the city, or people involved in this incident?
That's up to Cruz, right?
The question of who's going to pay for the damage to the buildings, to the roads, and so forth, that's up to the courts. If the courts find that there are defendants who've been involved in a particular type of damage, we're going to ask the courts to assign them that as restitution.
Can you also send a message to that part of the residents that do this kind of situation sometimes?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
The message from yours, from the city, to that kind of people that do that, the illegal meetings.
Our message from the city and county of Philadelphia is this: if you engage in these kinds of illegal meeting activities, grifting activities, these kinds of disturbances of the tranquility of the city and county of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office is going to do everything we can to find probable cause to arrest you. We're going to arrest you and prosecute you. We're going to hold you on high bail, and we're going to do the very best we can to make sure that you stop this type of illegal activity. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Eric's going to do. Yeah, they're gonna put it out.